Sony confirms no PSX 2018.
What a bummer.
Hello and welcome to Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. I am your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me, Mr.
Saul Bridges bringing you lucky episode 79. 79.
It doesn't have the same swing as 69, you know? It's just one of those things.
Or episode 70, but I think 80 will be pretty good.
80.
Brett, tell them who we are.
We will see. We are Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. If you've never joined us before, we're obviously a very PlayStation-centric podcast. We come to you in video format on YouTube every Monday at 10 a.m. PST and 12 p.m. CST for you Southerners like us.
Howdy.
Anyway, you can find us also... if you watch us on YouTube, consider giving us a subscribe. Hit the little notification button. It'll let you know when our videos go live, which is at least once a week. We've never missed an episode, and we're damn proud of it. If you want to listen to us in audio format only, you can find us on Google Play Music, iTunes, SoundCloud if you want to listen on a computer. You can also find us on them other Android ones, so don't fear. If you want to listen to us on Android, there's plenty of ways. There's Podcast Addict and other things like that.
Except Spotify. That's the one.
We're working on it forever and always.
Hiccups. Yeah, forever and always.
You can find us on Twitter where you can ask us questions for our reader mail as we post our reader mail tweets up every Wednesday and every Friday. That's at Triangle SQRD. If you have a Twitter, join us over there. We have fun conversations on there too. You can join our Discord, which is a more frantic, crazy paced chat for the most part.
It's like our live streams, very unorganized and random.
But it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's
so
fun.
You can find that in the description below
Real fun.
on both podcast services or on YouTube. You can click down and find the link to that. Or you can support us on Facebook and come and talk to us all there where it's a little more oriented conversation where you know where it's going because it's more chainable and you have a ability to respond to a specific thing. So if you like that, you can find us over there at Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. It is a group. Just request to join. We'll gladly let you in. Thanks to Josh and Blake for getting that going for us.
Thank you,
keeping
guys.
on top of it, as always. And, of course, you can support us on Patreon if you like what we're doing. We also do custom cases. We recently had to change it due to some laws about gambling and terms of service changes at Patreon. So now we've changed to where every quarter, if you've been a patron for the whole quarter, so it is 3 months at the $5 tier, then you get to get a custom case of your choice. We will send the list and you choose what you want and we send it to you at the end of every quarter as long as you've paid everything. So with that being said, Saul, one thing that we started to want to do for people who are joining us new, who don't quite know the setup for the show, we always do kind of the teaser at the beginning before we go into the intro. With that being said, we do not currently use the main topic setup until the end of the episode. We are discussing potential things about that, but for the time being, we are going to keep with our current setup and flow of the show. So we'll go through news, we'll go through the drop, we'll go through news, we'll go through reader mail, and then we'll go to the main topic. And those can go wildly different lengths depending on how interesting the news is that week. So if you are curious about that, we are going to start working on trying to do timestamps again.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah, so
Blame
that way,
me.
if you want to listen to the main topic, you can go down below in the description and hopefully, or into the comments either way, and find the timestamps. Sadly, audio users won't be able to do that. But if you want to skip around and hear our thoughts on whatever the main topic is, you are more than likely able to do that.
I legitimately forgot to do those. Like,
I know.
I don't even know how, because I was doing it for like however many weeks straight, and then all of a sudden it's like it fell out of habit. I don't know how.
You had to work a Monday, weirdly.
I think that's
what it was,
yeah,
and then you
now
just
I'm
never
not-
came back.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So without anything else to add to all that, Triangle Squared is going to go forward. Let's do this, Saul. What have you been playing this week? What have you not been playing this week? I haven't seen you on, but then again, you do that.
I do that. Appear offline.
Perpetually appear offline. I caught myself in that on accident the other day. I realized that we were playing Firewall with Ryan, and he was like, "Oh, you appear offline." I was like, "Wait, what?" I went back and changed it. I can't remember why I did it, but I had a reason.
Well, I do things often in which I'm playing my PS4, and I'll get to a point where I'll take a break, but I won't turn my PS4 off.
I've seen you do this
so,
a number
yeah,
of times.
Yeah, I think you've probably come over before, and I've had my PS4 on and running, but not playing it.
Yep.
And I'll make like food, or I'll watch something on YouTube, or I'll like just relax and mess around on my phone, but I'll have my PlayStation up. And then I've gone into a couple of experiences now in which one of you guys, friends of the show, will invite me or message me, and I turn off notifications on my phone now because the the thing is the loudest notification I think possible on an Android phone. So I turned that off so I don't get those anymore. But I left myself in offline mode until I plan on doing something. Like if I tell somebody I won't be online, not like Joe or Gavin, I'll appear online. But now typically I'm just like, I'll text them like I'm online, but I'll still be offline.
I feel you.
But yeah, this week I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2, has been the norm.
So continuation from last week.
Continuation of last week. I played a little bit more Cuphead on my laptop, kind of just relaxing the other night on the couch, and connected the old Xbox One controller to it via Bluetooth. And,
do you feel like Cuphead will ever make its way to PS4? Or do you feel like it's a complete exclusivity deal?
I think it's a complete exclusivity deal. I wish
I could see it.
because that would be a super good game for PlayStation to have. But other than Destiny 2 and Cuphead, like that's it. Like I have not played anything else at all. And I don't really plan on playing anything else at all really until like Red Dead comes out or anything. I may pick up Monster Hunter on the Switch, but that's a maybe at this point. I'm not too entirely sure.
Hollow Knight PS4?
Hollow Knight PS4 is going to fall to a time in which I have free time.
Since you've already dabbled in some?
Yeah, since I've already beaten it on Switch, I'm going to wait for a while. So I'll play it again soon. Maybe even like a weekend in which I'm off work and there's just nothing to do really. And I don't feel like playing Destiny, or my friends who play with me aren't online. I'll play it then. But
that'd be another one that'd be fun to stream, I think.
No.
Really?
Yeah, no.
With the way that game's paced?
Yeah, just, it's a boring game to stream in my opinion. Or at least for two people to stream.
Well, we'll see. Who knows?
I don't think
I
it'd
need
be
to play
fun
it
to
myself.
stream it. But what have you been playing, Brett?
Let's see. I played more Warframe. I'm trying to remember this week. It's been weird. Of course, I played Firewall 0 Hour finally. Grabbed it, played with Ryan and John, my boys. I'm going to do so again tonight. And also Matt, one of the listeners who is on our Facebook group. Look forward to it, Matt. You will be hearing this in the future when we've already done it, so oh well. Yeah, that is really fun, man. It's the first time that I've played a game on VR where I'm like, Saul absolutely has to play this because it's going to change your opinion.
Yeah, no, it's not even like a super strong opinion I have. It's just like at this point, it's not worth it for me to buy it for the cost and for the space that I have. But
I understand, but what I mean by changing, so I guess changing your opinion is one thing. I guess it's just going to sell you on it better than anything else you've done or anything else you've experienced on it, which is pretty limited.
Right.
Because what have you played on VR?
Resident Evil 7, that one game where it's like sewer tunnels or something weird that you have.
Oh, Here They Lie.
Yeah.
Which was free.
Briggs. And
still is, technically.
I played pretty much everything that came out that you have. Like that you have. Like I came over that one day and we pretty much like you went through everything with me. Like Job Simulator, all those other games.
Yeah.
So
you never got around to Farpoint. So you played everything that I got early on.
I played Farpoint. You let me play Farpoint.
I don't recall that, but
yes,
okay.
It was like it's when we did the PlayStation Peripheral episode. It was like not too long after that.
Okay, well, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's really it's a good game.
Yeah, the game is. I mean, it's okay. It is like cool for what it is.
It's a proof of concept, to be fair, and
it's not something that will get me super excited enough to like put that on my want list for VR. If I bought a VR,
it's good, and it was good for how early into VR's life it came. Now that VR is further, Firewall is a better testament to that. Some people wish that it was still a single player when it's not.
Does Firewall have the twitchy animation for the gun?
Personally, I haven't experienced it.
Okay.
Jonathan may have experienced it differently because I think some of it comes from being used to using peripherals, and some of it also maybe comes from being used to wearing. I don't know. It was Jonathan played it last night, and it was very awkward watching him play it because I'm like, he's played VR, but it's been a while, and definitely in this type of game, he doesn't have his legs for it yet. And it took me a second to get him whenever I played the other night. It took a couple of matches of the game, and then I got to a point where I was doing pretty well.
Okay.
But it really is. It's one of those things where it really puts you in the shoes of all the things that you see your people doing on like Rainbow. So when you're playing Rainbow and you're like, okay, I'm going to lean against this corner. It's like you're doing all that yourself. Like when you crouch in the game, you can hold circle. Apparently, I didn't even know that. I just crouch in real life, and then when you crouch, your movement becomes slower. You can still sprint in the game. You don't do it, obviously, by moving yourself. But you can sprint, click the analog stick in, you'll start running. But footsteps matter. You can hear them. One of the things that's cool is it finds a way to do all the things that you expect a game to do. All right, you want a radar, right? If someone's doing something that's loud, you want to see them on the radar. When you're carrying the gun, when it's close to you and you see through the reticle, you see like the red, like through the actual piece, like through the scope piece, you can see it. And when you pull it up, obviously it lines up, and it's pretty cool, which is also something that Farpoint did. But the other thing it does is that It tries to minimize UI unless you need it. And basically what it is that you're going to do something that's going to make the UI visible to you in every sense. So when you need to know how much ammo you have left or how much current clip you have left, you pull the gun away from you and it projects from the back of the gun so you can see it. But then when you pull it back up like you normally hold a gun, it doesn't show. That way you're not distracted by it.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's no health or anything like that, which is smart. You don't want any kind of UI elements like that. The radar, when you pull your gun out, you can look down at your arm. And there's like a panel on your arm where you see the map and everything going on in the radar, and it's an elegant solution that works where when you need to see it, you have the ability to. And since the game is not incredibly fast paced, so since it's a little more tactical based, people are a little slower to do stuff. Typically, you have the time to do it. Something that would be more Call of Duty like in VR would be probably harder to do that because it's like Twitch based almost. It'd be hard to pull that off. I don't know that a game like that would work in VR the same way anyway. It's going to be hard to get that very real. Call of Duty's not realistic fast or realistic speed. It's an exaggerated pace.
Yeah, I may come over sometime this week and play it one night.
You should. It's really good. Jonathan was even impressed with it because obviously he's somebody who loves Rainbow,
right?
So and he could see like he was playing with randoms because of what was going on, and he was just trying to learn. But I was like, it's definitely a game that is it's fun anyway, but it's at its height when you're playing with people that you can clearly communicate with. So when you have a full team with you, dude, I only got off the other night because I was tired and Ryan was getting off. So I was like, well, I'm not going to have a team I can play with anyway. So that's okay. I'm going to get off. But otherwise, cool. I would have kept playing.
Yeah, I like games like that. I like
very fun.
I like multiplayer games in which you can work with friends in tactical situations.
And I did not have, even though I haven't played my VR in a while, I didn't, and maybe that's just because I'm having my VR legs at this point, but even after not playing a while, I didn't have any kind of sickness problems, which was good. And I don't know if it's just because the game handled it well or not, but I liked it. It was a good stance on it. Huh. But yeah, that's about it. I can't think. Oh, Time Spinner on Vita. I did pick it up.
How's
been
that?
Playing it. It's good. It's a very much an ode to just classic 2D. Not even Metroid. Really, it's just Castlevania. It does a couple of things that aim to try and change it up and make it feel fresh. Obviously, with the base point of the game is that you can stop time because you're a time spinner. So you start to get pieces. This is a very basic setup. There's an object called or this thing, I guess it's an object, but it's called the Time Spinner, and this clan of people use it to go back in the past when they need to keep their people living. So whenever something's going to happen that would threaten their kind, they use this machine and they train people to use it. They have like a resonance with it, and they can open it, and then they can go back in and they can warn their people so that they can move on before the events happen.
That's a super cool premise.
I actually like that. But what happens is they're too late this time, and somebody comes and ends up destroying after you are already jumping into it, and you're like partially in, they end up destroying it. So parts of it come into the closure with you. So you start picking up the pieces, and the pieces themselves give you different abilities. So when you pick up part of it, it gives you the ability to stop time. And you can use that to help with your platforming. As things jump, you can freeze them there and then jump up and use them as a ledge. It can obviously help you whenever there's something that would otherwise hurt you, that you can freeze it when it's up, run to the other side of it, it'll come back down, you unfreeze it, and you have an hourglass. It's not endless, and you have to beat enemies because it's hourglass up. But it's obviously fun. If you like those type of games, it fits. I mean, it's a really good game. I think maybe not perfect, I'm not far enough in for that, but it's doing enough to try and not reinvent the wheel, but just be a little fresh, while also just feeling like a good Metroid game. It's got the very consistent feeling jump. It's not as dynamic as something like what we've been doing with like Dead Cells or Death's Gambit. But it's very much that you have one jump, you can control how high you jump based off how long you hold it, but pretty much your animation feel the same. It's kind of stiff, but in a way that lends the game to feeling like everything that goes on, you're able to adequately predict how the result's going to be based off of their jump animation, your jump animation. So it feels good because all of the audio visual cues that you're seeing, they're going to result in one particular thing. So you can use that to your advantage. And that I feel that way about Symphony of the Night. When you jump and you do the whip thing, it's always the exact same animation. You know how long it's going to take. What if you haven't jumped high enough.
Yeah, it'll reach. The reach it'll have.
Yeah, I mean, it just
the amount that it can add on to your jump.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and no, don't get me wrong. Most good games will do that, but 3D games will have different animations. Sometimes it'll be more dynamic, and that feels good when you're playing 3D games that are more realistic. But these type of games that keep that side scroller thing, it feels good to have that. Dead Cells didn't need it because Dead Cells has this speed to it that those games never do.
No,
But I think it's really good. The thing I will say is that I can already tell just from playing it, I'm pretty sure that for a value, aspect, Hollow Knight's going to be the superior Metroidvania that's playing because it's just a little more original anyway in what it's aiming to do, but it's very long. I can't believe that that it has that much breadth to it from everything I've seen.
Yeah, and
it's cheaper than Time Spinner.
Yeah, it's like what, $11? Like
it's $15
on sale. Oh, well,
I got it for $11 on pre-ordering. I think that sounds
yeah.
right. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, that could be Game of the Year contender material.
And I will say, don't get me wrong, it's nice playing Time Spinner and it's pretty. Because it's got that simple thing. But I have with all these other games I've been playing, and even you could say, well, it's pixel, so it's going to be a little different. Well, even Death's Gambit, which was obviously pixel art, had a lot of animation variation.
Oh, yeah.
And there was something about the look that it's like, yeah, I like what it does for this game and being predictable in the way that you want it to be predictable. But at the same time, there's something that feels older, like not even older. There's something like, we talked about pixel art's almost ageless, but what they're able to do with it to elevate it even more to make it almost seem like a modern ageless is by showing me more changing animations with sprite base, which is not something that you used to see back then. It was like, you have an up down sprite,
right?
You have a climbing sprite, you have a jumping sprite. It's always gonna be the same. It's never gonna change. But then you see things like Death's Gambit that always change, and it has a lot of different variables for how it goes through. And then Dead Cells, of course, which has a pixely but not completely pixelated, but still I would call that pixel art, and it's very much.
I would too.
So I mean, when you're playing those things and you play things like Hollow Knight, looks really like. It's Metroid, but the art direction looks so cool, and it's the dynamic aspects of it. And I've liked a lot of these games going towards this what appears to be a hand drawn style almost. I thought it was really cool in Jotun and also in Sundered, which are both from the same developer. But I like that style a lot, like hand drawn, almost cartoon looking. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. I don't think I played anything else. But playing Vita again feels really nice, and that's what I chose to pick up, even though it's cross-buy. It's what I chose to pick up Time Spinner on, and I'm playing it on there.
I know the first when I get the Vita in on Monday, the first thing I'm going to do is download Persona 4 again. But that may be another game worth downloading.
Yeah. I think so. If you pick it up, I mean, you could play it on either. I think it'll feel right to you on a handheld.
Yeah, personally, those games always do. That's why I got to get Hollow Knight on PS4 again, and at least play it once by the end of the year to stew on it more. Because
I got you.
I'm still kind of mentally thinking of Game of the Year stuff in my head.
Me too, and really trying to keep everything really present in my mind. But you want to go ahead and hop into the drop?
Sure do. So for those that don't know, the drop is this week's PlayStation releases across all PlayStation consoles. First on the list, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey for PS4. We have Astro Robot Rescue Mission for PSVR. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise for PS4. Freaky Awesome for PS4. Mega Man 11 for PS4. The Midnight Sanctuary for PS4. Party Crashers for PS4. Pato Box for PS Vita. Racket Fury Table Tennis VR for PSVR, of course. Valtherian Arc Hero School Story for PS4, and WWE 2K19 for PS4.
There you go.
Got Mega Man 11 and what was the other one?
Assassin's
Creed Odyssey. Yeah, two big games this week. Fist of the North Star is kind of a crazy game to bring back,
dude. But people love that. That's what I was about to say. Like we kind of talked about how it's a little bit of a slow week, but people really, yeah. Are you talking about Hakuto?
Yeah, I don't know why I did not know that's his name.
Anyway,
I haven't watched that in a very, very long time.
Yeah, Fist of the North Star, I think the last time it had an entry was on PS3, right? I could be wrong on that because it's not a series I follow, but I'm highly...
show.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying even then, you think about it's a weird game to bring back. I guess
it is.
I don't know that it came to PS4 at all.
I wonder if the memes brought it back.
The memes, maybe. Yeah. The power of the meme.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the power of the internet that we're in right now, man. Is
there a duck in your living room? Like what is that's not Kyrie, is it?
Yes, it
There's
is.
no way that's not Kyrie in a party in like one of those party blowers.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or a kazoo. Is that a kazoo?
I hope so. Kazoo Kid. Kyrie can be the new Kazoo Kid. Talking about memes. I'm gonna hop into the news now for those of you who want to know about all that. The most important thing, not the most important, but it's very, very cool. Castlevania Requiem that we talked about last episode is real and will be releasing October 26th for $19.99. It includes Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, both exclusive to PS4. A lot of people are mad about that, but when you look at the talk that they've kind of given and the jargon that they've given, it does seem apparent that Sony is somehow really involved with this coming back. Excuse me. Sony's really involved with this coming back. So I don't think it's weird to say that it's coming over exclusively. It may still be a temporary exclusive deal. You honestly don't know. But it looks like, if nothing else, Sony was at least somewhat responsible for getting the team in touch with the people who were doing the ports. Yeah. It's cool. For people who are curious, it does add trophy support to both games, and otherwise they are ports, which is really cool.
Certainly worth the $20 it cost. It's worth $20 alone for Symphony of the Night, and I think that... like, I always say that may be a platinum game. Like, I may platinum that game. Who knows? I got to look at the trophies.
I know. That's what I'm curious about, too.
I guarantee it's going to be hard.
Here's what's interesting to me about this. Did you ever play Rondo?
Once, a long time ago.
I never have.
And it's
actually it's the prequel. I mean, it's not the prequel, but it's
what leads up to the beginning
Symphony,
of...
Yeah. And the fact that I've never played it...
Spoiler alert for those.
Bothers me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, oh well.
A little late on that. But, yeah.
Well, play it in that order if you've never played it. Yeah, play it Rondo and then Symphony.
But... I always thought like Dawn of Sorrow, the DS version for a Castlevania game. I think it's either Dawn of Sorrow or
what was Dawn of Sorrow? Was it supposed
Sorrow.
to be a Symphony remake?
No. I said version, but
okay. I was about to say, I was like, I didn't know that.
You played as Belmont, and no, you didn't. Who did you play as?
I don't know, so I didn't play the game.
But yeah, that one. A lot of people will say that like that took a lot from Rondo, which I played both those. It did not take to me like that game did not feel like Rondo at all, but. Yes.
Well, you think about the time, depending on when that game came out, you think about the time of where Castlevania was as a series. Castlevania took a lot of weird turns going into the mid-2000s into now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Was Simon in it?
I can't remember who's the main character. Is it Dawn of Sorrow?
I'm pretty sure that sounds like a name I've heard. I just don't know.
It's been. I'm telling you, it's been years since I played that game. I mean, when it came out, Aria of Sorrow is the game that it comes before, comes before Dawn of Sorrow. Soma Cruz is his name.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know much about that, but if you want to pick this up, do it. Symphony of the Night is a great enough game on its own. I would pay $20 for Symphony of the Night, to be dead honest with you. And that sounds ridiculous. I would pay
$60 for that. No, that ain't ridiculous at all. Depending on how it's done, I would definitely pay $60 for that.
Well, you know what's interesting is that how would it be done to really justify $60? A remake? Because here's the thing about a remake. The game's pretty on its own.
Redo the art style. That's all I care about. Clean up the edges a little bit, make the colors pop a little bit better. Because
it's already a colorful game.
Yeah, I'll say they already pop enough. But like I'm just saying, make them pop a little bit better, clean up the jaggies.
Add some HDR support.
No. Why would you want that in that game?
You know what I actually think would be interesting to see about in that game, though?
What?
If they were able, because you have to think about when that game came. If they were able to find a way to make it feel very close to the original while also adding a sense of atmosphere with some kind of like light particle effects.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like
Hollow Knight does that in a weird way.
Yeah, just to give you like almost like a front alpha in front of everything. Like the particle effects happen above everything. That way when you're in a room, like you see dust flying around this old castle.
Yeah.
You know? Or I don't know, it'd be interesting if they could find a way to do that while still maintaining the rest and like you're saying kind of just clean everything up. I don't know though. That's a real weird question is what do you do with a game like that to really bring it to that $60 value point? That's that personal value of games thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's people that pay $60 for it just to play it on PS4. So
yeah, it's objective.
Next up, this is actually interesting. They finally showed off after a couple of teases, but Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, was shown off, showcasing Telltale-esque art combined with third-person isometric exploration and Gwent-based battles that are tailored for storytelling. The story will feature Geralt, but will actually be focused around Queen Meve. So it comes to consoles in December, shortly after its October PC release. This is the long talked about and teased Gwent story expansion, basically, but it's going to be a standalone release is what it looks like. It's going to be $29.99 on PC, which it looks like it's going to be worth it. I'm wondering if that price will carry over, if they'll adjust it up. I hope not. I would imagine that $30 seems reasonable for what they're seeing. I'm actually really surprised with the way they decided to take the overworld exploration on top of that Gwent foundation. And I'm curious as how they're going to talk. They're saying using Gwent in a sense to storytell. How do you change that gameplay style up to give you storytelling?
I don't know. That's weird.
Is it
Unless
like
they mean the characters you play against are part of a story, like like a Yu-Gi-Oh campaign?
Maybe.
I guess. I don't know how else to compare it.
Well, I'm curious if like they're going to have dialogue happening, like exposition happening within the middle of the matches. I don't know that I necessarily love that, but I don't know. It depends on how they do it.
I don't. That just sounds very clunky to me.
It does, and it makes me think of the old. Like, not even the good ones, because there's a couple of the Yu-Gi-Oh games that didn't have that problem. But I do remember other card games where they try and pull that off. It's like, it just feels out of place,
Yeah, they're not good.
I don't feel you can tell me this after. You can have setup dialogue and then you can have resolution dialogue, and I think that works. But I don't know. I do like the art style they're choosing to go with, and there's it voice acted completely. That's cool. But also, speaking of Telltale-esque, Supermassive Games have spoken more about Man of Medan. I don't know how you say it actually, but they showed that off at E3. It's the beginning of their Dark Pictures universe of games, so they talked more about that. More importantly, the team plans to release 2 games per year, published all by Bandai Namco. The titles will be standalone experiences that share the overall universe with each other, so they will be like a shared universe of games. But they can be completely enjoyed on their own. They spoke about the potential for choices carrying over between games at some point, but they made no promises, as it is not a current roadmap for them. And I guess in their mind, they don't see any games that they're going to be doing that have a reason to directly transfer into the next. It looks like they're more instead of going the Telltale route. So obviously they're going Telltale route with individual episodic releases, but they don't see the point.
What a terrible model.
Well, it depends.
No, it's
because
a terrible
the
model.
reason I say a terrible model, it's a terrible model for
Everybody.
Telltale for sure, because they are the slowest, and I mean it doesn't matter now, but they are the slowest at actually keeping the rate of release going.
Well, see, like that's the thing,
and that's what killed them. I think is that people weren't willing to pay until it was all done.
Right, and you pick it up the entire collection for $7 instead of the $60 it would cost normally.
Yeah,
and it's just like if they would make like Life is Strange, if they released a new episode every week.
Or 2 weeks. I even think 2 weeks is fine.
Well, I was going to say more like a TV show every week.
You get
a brand new episode.
Every week would be great, but I get that at that point, you've pretty much done the game. Like, if the game is
the game should be fully done when you release the first episode.
I do agree. I feel like every episode should be, like, you have everyone planned, and they're set up in a way that the time limit would be by the end of the first episode. The second episode is like a week out from pre-production, or a week out where that you're gonna be able to finish it up. You have to do some final polish. I think a week might be a little too much, but I think 2 weeks, right, where you have a week to get it done, a week to make sure that it's gold, get it uploaded and everything. It gives you a little more time. But then basically, like you're saying, so by the time that the second episode goes live, the third episode is 2 weeks out, and then that way you kind of keep that going. I don't think 2 weeks is too long to ask of people. Definitely, since the episodes tend to normally be in the 2 to 3 hour mark for a lot of them.
I think that's even better for a weekly.
Yeah, well, maybe, but that also is why I think, because they're that long, I think that's why it'd be harder to hit weekly potentially.
Like when you think about it, the first I don't remember the gap of time that it took for the very first Walking Dead to come out, season 1. But imagine, like, I know it wasn't long, but imagine waiting that much of time to beat a game that is that short compared to the amount of time you waited for it to come out. It's not worth it to me. So you wait until it goes on sale, then you pick it up there, which is what a lot of people do. Not everybody, but a lot. And that's when it just becomes...
I'm one of those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I don't feel like I'm the one who made Telltale go under, but their market, their business model, and then their inability to do it in a pace,
not a non-clunky fashion.
Yeah, is what ultimately seems like it's what's done them under. And I think it was also, I think the other side is, and this might be where Supermassive are big enough, anyway, that they could be able to do this as a side thing and keep a constant relationship with Bandai, which is good for them. It's like they have a back burner thing that's constantly going. If they're doing 2 releases a year, that already tells me that they're likely going to be doing better than Telltale. Because you think about it this way, Guardians of the Galaxy took almost 6 months, I think, for the entire 5 episodes to come out.
Right, and it's only 5 episodes. So, like, here's what you do is that when the game is done, it's gone gold as an entire game, not as an episodic release, but as a game as a whole. And then you take weekly or bi-weekly releases and you have them planned out. While you're releasing this game, you're essentially check marking an upload file, and then you're working on the second part.
See, I would agree with that. Now, Telltale didn't do that. They worked on the episodes in between. If a company's going to
do that.
I agree with you, though. If you want to take the benefits of giving the episodic thing where you can kind of pull off of people's, like, oh, you get to play off of cliffhangers because now you have to wait, even if it's just a week. It's like, it makes you that much more hyped because you're like, what's going to happen?
It's like an episode of Game of Thrones or something, or whatever, Westworld, whatever your show is.
I would actually probably support that business model if they got the whole game done at upfront and then just uploaded them every week. That way, every week you're like, oh, because that's essentially what a TV show does. They're normally, South Park is a weird outlier, but a lot of TV shows are done with the show before it even starts to air.
Imagine Death Stranding being an episodic game release.
How weird.
Yeah, no, that just popped into my head randomly.
How weird. But anyway, I think it's interesting for them that they're kind of doing that. But basically, just to wrap this up, Man of Medan is currently planned for release sometime in 2019, I would imagine early. So that would mean that if they're following this, there would be a secondary release later on in the year. I think if they can get their pacing right, they've already shown me with Until Dawn that they're capable of doing a lot. I really still need to play, and I plan on doing it very soon. Hidden Agenda, I do have it. I just need to finally crank down and play it. It's just weird because I'm going to have to do it with my phone. So I don't know how I feel about that. But I think it may be something that me and Hannah sit down and do, like maybe even an hour of a night, just so we can have a reason to do it. With that way you're at least utilizing the whatever, I can't remember what that initiative was called, PlayLink? Yeah.
PlayLink, yeah.
But I think that's set up to go. But I think they're obviously a good enough studio to pull this off. And if they do it right, like we've already seen, Life is Strange does it better than Telltale already. We've already seen that. Even though they're not doing the weekly pacing, I think it's they're normally not a month. They're normally around a month, I think. Whereas sometimes you'd wait a month or two for Telltale stuff. But even with that said, I think that they can pull it off. So good for Supermassive. It sucks that Sony didn't try and nab them up after Until Dawn was the sleeper hit that it was, and try and do more with them. Obviously, we got Hidden Agenda out of it, which is a PlayStation exclusive, but I wish we would have gotten more out of it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Definitely considering that they utilized the Horizon engine, the Decima engine, really well with Until Dawn. It was a very pretty game. It would have been cool to see what they're doing with that outside. Now they switched over to Unreal Engine 4, apparently. So that's cool. Supermassive, let's see. That was done. After some rumors, it's been officially confirmed by the Kingdom Hearts Twitter account that the Kingdom Hearts 3 theme song will be a collaboration between Utada Hikaru and Skrillex, or Sonny Moore, for all them from First to Last fans out there. That will be an original song titled Face Your Fears. This has been rumored for a little bit. Kiki has been talking about it already, though whoever else he mentioned is not part of this. I don't know who that is. I didn't ever get around to listening to the song. I'm sorry, Kiki. I will try and go back and do so. This is interesting. I don't really have a big affinity for Skrillex, as I never got into dubstep really big, but I love Utada, obviously. And a lot of the songs end up being remixes anyway and having an electronic sound to them. So if this song ends up going that direction anyway, I'm not really upset about it. But it's an interesting collaboration.
Yeah, I don't like Skrillex that much as for like a music standpoint, but he's a good producer. So
yeah, so if nothing else, you get a solid production out of it.
Yeah, he's talented, so we'll always get something good.
So I know that he's actually doing it under the name Skrillex. That's why I'm not getting my hopes up. But it'd be crazy if he actually came in as Sonny Moore and was like, "Yeah, we're going to do rock and we're going to do these vocals here."
That would be pretty sick, actually.
Because I think that there's an argument to say that Sanctuary veers towards the rock side of things more.
No.
Yeah, man, definitely at the end when it's got the dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? It's more rock oriented than pop oriented, in my opinion. Definitely when you compare it side by side with Simple and Clean.
But is it more rock oriented than electric oriented?
I don't know, because it's not even really that electric oriented. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's almost like traditional instrument-y sounding. Besides it ends up coming off electronically, electronic-y, I guess I should say, because of the flip vocals to give you that subversion.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't know. I think that's something that's more of a what do you consider electronic? So I'll give you that one. Dirt Rally 2 was announced as a sequel to the original 2016 release, aiming to travel to new locations and bump up the number of cars, because that's normal car game stuff, but also track degradation, which actually sounds pretty cool. So this is where surfaces can become loose or unstable the more cars that take this specific course. So if you keep going up a banked curve, that banked curve is eventually going to get to a point where it's not doing the same thing for you as it was, and it's almost going to be detrimental to you to go that route. So you have to kind of stay on your feet. I think that's cool. It's cool, but I mean, who knows? I think other games maybe have done this, because I mean, this is more of a, you're doing it specifically on dirt, wouldn't work anywhere else. But anyway, no VR support is planned currently, despite the first game eventually adding its support for VR via premium DLC. But Codemaster said they're listening to demand. So if you want it, go tell them. That looks like that's what ended up happening with the first game. They added it as a demand thing, even though you had to pay for it, which I think is fair. If a game is not originally planning to add VR, and then there's enough of a demand shown in the community that they want to go in and be like, okay, well, hey, we're doing VR, but you pay $10 for it. I think that's fair.
Yeah, maybe not everybody who has the money or wants it has the money, but then again, it's something like that's often a go on sale.
And that's why you make it a median price, because even if you're making $10 off of it, it's better than doing a free update that you don't know how many people are going to actually deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to help base sales or not. Anyway, that comes out February 26th, so if you're interested in it, hopefully it won't move. That just adds more to the February pile of things. So this looks like the 22nd at this point would have to be a Tuesday. Well, no, if it's 26th, who knows what day this is releasing. I guess this could be a Tuesday release. Friday being the 22nd, this be a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's going to be a dead game.
God, I don't know, because it's racing, and racing does still live in this weird niche.
That is true. That's
a
very good niche, though.
I would, if this was something else, if this was any other type of game, be dead honest with you, I'd be like, nope, it's releasing at a bad time. Yeah. But with it being racing, and then not even only racing, rally racing, this has got a very particular market it's aiming towards.
Oh, it does. A very popular one among its community.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, Europe is way more into racing games than we are. Definitely when you actually go towards more realistic racing like this. America obviously has a big love for the street racing games that we see, like Need for Speed and even Forza Horizon, but Europe definitely loves the more simulation style. PS4 Pro model included in the Red Dead Redemption 2 bundle features a new model number, meaning some small changes may have been made. Very likely. I mean, when they change the model number, something's changed. We don't quite know what it's going to be, but on the Pro moving forward. But as usual, they will continue to support the games. They should be no reason for you to know. I wonder if it's fans, because I know a couple of people who've complained about the fans on the Pro.
I would hope so, but I also don't think that's a costly upgrade in a way.
Not necessarily. As prices go down in different areas,
price per unit, no, but price as a whole to Sony, yeah, that's a big cost.
I mean, again, maybe not, because you think they're mass buying, right? If it's only 13 more cents to improve, and that's because even then the rest of the PS4 Pro materials have likely come down since launch. So you're now cheaper on your graphics and RAM side potentially, right? And even your processor.
So RAM is still really expensive.
Yeah, but we're not running DDR4 either. We're running DDR5. So, I mean, who knows? It's one of those weird areas. But basically what I mean is that as costs come down for other things, like even the plastics or whatever, or they might have even found a way to skin more plastic off and still do an adequate casing, then you can add those extra $1 or whatever to the fan and hopefully help that. I don't know. That's a really interesting one. But also that obviously is an announcement of a Red Dead Redemption 2 PS4 Pro bundle. So if you want a PS4 Pro and you want Red Dead 2 on it, which will obviously look fantastic on it, pick it up. If you don't care, don't pick it up. Just buy the game. Do what you want. Sony and PlayStation have finally caved, and this is something that people have been waiting for forever, on their long-running stance on crossplay. Moving Fortnite into crossplay beta and looking at select future third-party games to add the feature to. Currently, Psyonix says that it's not planned for Rocket League. I assume that they probably just weren't in on it. They were working with the person who does it, who's the biggest right now, which is Fortnite. It's the place where it needed to start, to be honest.
Yeah.
So they are saying that currently it's not going to be on there, though I would not be surprised if it's in the first games of the next wave of games to add this feature, depending on how these things go. Sony doing it only on one game, like I said, it's not that I care about this, but in terms of what Sony's done now, you can't open the door a little bit without expecting people to expect you to open the door completely. So now that they've done this, I think that there's no real going back, at least this console generation. Depending on how things play out moving forward and how much different Microsoft and Xbox end up being, and if they go more towards a platform idea or if they try and stick more with being a console service, it's going to make it really weird in this particular setup because PS5 might not need it. But at least as far as PS4 and Xbox One are going and concerned, and for the next year at least, they've opened this door. They're not going to be able to shut it now.
No.
So and I think that what they're probably doing with this being a beta is that they're looking at how many people actually utilize this and take part in it.
Well, that's
I could be wrong on that.
Track, isn't it?
Well, I could be wrong on that, but that's assuming.
How do you track that?
I don't play Fortnite. That's assuming that you look at, are there different servers? Because currently I know in Fortnite there's different servers for if you don't want to include Android people.
Or that.
If you don't want to include keyboard and mouse, that seems reasonable. I don't know if that's true, but then that would make sense that you're gonna be able to choose lobbies based off of what you want, right? So if you want to go crossplay and you want to play with Xbox players, do you have to go to a specific lobby? It'd be easy to track then. You would just track the lobby usage.
Yeah.
And depending on how that goes, and if the lobbies end up being majority Xbox people and very few PlayStation people, Sony might be looking at it and being like, we were right to begin with, even though we eventually cracked, we were right in that. And I'm not saying this is true, but if that ends up happening and Sony's mindset was that, well, these are a lot of people barking, but it's a very small group overall, if that ends up being true, who knows? That'll be interesting to see how Sony bends with that decision as they continue going, if they try and limit it. I think that the 3 games that stand to benefit from it most, and then they may even just stop after that, would be Minecraft, Rocket League, and then obviously Fortnite. PUBG, maybe, but I don't know.
If we're ever going to get PUBG, but I don't think.
Well, the Korean board was right on Castlevania.
No, I know that, but I'm curious how PUBG is going to look and run.
Yeah, if it's going to be better optimized this time around.
Oh, it's not going to be better optimized unless it's rebuilt from the ground up for PS4. That game looks like hot garbage on Xbox One X. Like hot garbage.
On the One X?
Yeah, they finally got an update like not too long ago. I can't remember if it's been weeks or months.
I don't know, because when it first launched on the One X, it would completely drop frames, even though it was supposed to perform better.
Yeah.
It would like almost unplayable.
If
I remember looking at videos.
Either it was like that for the entirety of the console for Xbox.
But I remember people saying it was at least better on the original
it's better,
Xbox.
yeah. But
that's weird.
You're fighting 10 frames versus 15.
When people talk about that game being better and that Fortnite shouldn't be doing better, I'm like, yeah, but Fortnite is well optimized on everything it's released on.
Yeah.
I haven't even played Fortnite, but I've never watched somebody play Fortnite and had texture load-in problems, have frame drops or anything. I was like,
I had frame drops a couple times while playing Fortnite, but not like PUBG. PUBG, you run into a room and frame drops sometimes.
Well, and how bad of a frame drop? Just down to like 20 something,
like 10 frames. Like no, I'm talking about like 60 to 50 when I played on PC.
Sure,
like it was noticeable, but it was not bad.
Yeah, but 60 to 50 is playable.
Right, but like
30 when you're running at 30 and you go to 10, it's not playable.
It's not playable.
So that's a good point. Anyway, we got a couple of responses kind of into this. Obviously, we've had our own points. We've talked ad nauseum about our stance on crossplay.
I'm sick of it.
I'm glad it happened.
I just want to see what it's going to outcome. I want to see what the outcome is. I'm curious to the overall outcome.
Yeah, and when I say I'm glad it's happened just so hopefully people will shut up about it.
Yeah,
because I do still agree that as a business thing, obviously it made more sense for Sony to keep it. But I'm sure that they've kind of come to a conclusion where, and it looks like this is true from what Justin was telling me, the currency itself will not transfer between.
But the accounts will.
But the items that you buy will carry between. Yeah. So that makes sense, right? So if you primarily play on PlayStation and you want to buy, basically you're going to buy all your currency on there. And then Sony's not necessarily losing out of money while still, giving you the ability to go log onto your Switch, play on Switch, use items you bought, but instead of giving Nintendo the money for the currency, you've given it to Sony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess that makes sense because otherwise you'd be buying stuff directly. You can go, well, I'm playing on Switch now, and Switch can be my main console, but I've got all this. Which, I mean, still Sony made the money at that point. It's weird. I guess their hope is that you're still gonna play on them as a main console, and then use the other consoles as like, okay, well, Switch, I'm playing out and about, right? Just to keep going. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going
to be more common for PS4 owners to play on Switch than on Xbox as well.
Sure. Something that somebody said in our reader mail that just happens to pertain to this, so we're going to tie it into this, which is interesting. Josh Ayers says, with the crossplay announcement, heaps of people want all games to crossplay everywhere. Parentheses, it won't happen. If this happens, the thing that won't happen, exclusives will mean more than ever, and Xbox has none, which is obviously hyperbole. So why do people want this? Because Xbox would likely die as a console. Now, this whole thing is hyperbolic. It just is. I get where he's going with it, though, and the sentiment behind it. And we actually have a response from LTB, which is a little bit different, that we can go ahead and say that so that we can kind of air through both of them. So you want to read that off?
Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, I was yawning. A question that begs to be asked. With Sony's recent decision about cross-platform play, single-player experiences and services different is going to create even a stronger competition across the board. What do you guys think? I think he's right. I think that the way crossplay is going to work is that for multiplayer, first of all, if you're playing multiplayer games, you're on the console with your friends. If you're not on the console with your friends, you're one-on-one. Every console can play with the most people, which is why crossplay was important for these multiplayer people.
Yeah.
Now that PlayStation has it, you have that extra added benefit of, oh, well, now that I can play with Xbox and Nintendo users on PlayStation, I'm going to get a PlayStation because now there's also this incentive of these exclusives.
Yeah,
and
it's a flip side thing. Exactly. To your point, if you don't mind me, because it's specifically tied to that. That is exactly what I was saying too. Is that Sony does stand to benefit from this because people who were maybe having a hard time deciding because they wanted a PlayStation but they did not want to be locked out of playing Fortnite or Rocket League or Minecraft with their friends will now go, great. Now I can just buy a PlayStation. So Sony's still going to make the money, whereas before they might have lost it actually because the person decided that playing with their friends on Xbox was more worth it to them. When that barrier starts to disappear, it can go both ways for Sony. Realistically, it can be that people are going to stop buying them. But it actually stands in Sony's benefit right now because while, like I say, Josh's hyperbole about Xbox having no exclusives, it is hyperbole. There are exclusives, but there's definitely not as many, and they're typically not as raved about. And definitely this year we've seen it. We saw Sea of Thieves actually get a lot of flack, even though it was a fun game. We see I can't even think of another exclusive that's come out besides Sea of Thieves and obviously Forza Horizon. So this year's been a big lull for Xbox.
State of Decay and stuff.
State of Decay, thank you. I knew there was one more. State of Decay 2 is what it was, right?
Right.
So there you go. 3 exclusives. One that I think State of Decay, even though it sold really well, I would consider that a little bit more of a niche game, kind of like what Days Gone's going to be doing. It's going to sell well, but it's not a huge title necessarily, even though it's going to do well among core fans of each thing. Like State of Decay did well among Xbox fans and then dropped off the next week from the charts. I think Days Gone's going to do something kind of similar unless you can just really buy into that Sony hype. But with that being said, yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously Xbox doesn't have a ton of exclusives, even though they're working on it. But what's going to happen in this particular case is that Sony's going to benefit still because they believe that even though they're opening up, people are going to buy the PlayStation because of the constant pacing of exclusives. And then what's going to happen outside of that is that moving forward, people who would have otherwise bought an Xbox because they really wanted to play with their friends will just instead buy the PlayStation to play the exclusives and then play with their friends. But I think the other side of that argument, Saul, you want to add anything else to that segment?
Well, I was going to say, what I think is that for the people who care about the multiplayer experiences that crossplay offers, typically aren't going to be the same people who care about the single player experiences. And that's why I think that when people kept bringing into the argument, oh, well, if I'm at GameStop and there's an Xbox One or a PS4, this argument has gone both ways, in which now, like, I would get an Xbox instead because I don't have crossplay. But now you do. So now you have a PS4 with the incentive added games, as I said earlier. So I think that people keep saying crossplay is bad. Crossplay just gave Sony another feature to be in the game, like with other players. Like now, and I think that most multiplayer, mainly people anyways, are already on PlayStation because right now Microsoft doesn't have a major first-person shooter that has ties in with them. Like Halo is pretty dead right now, and I say that their community is huge, but like, for anybody I knew in person that has ever played Halo does not play Halo. They play Destiny.
Yeah.
And they all play on PS4.
They found something else.
Yeah, they all play on PS4 except like 3 of them they play on PC. But I think that it's just it's a win all the way around. I think that they're like you said, there are going to be people who ruin it, who's like, well, why is it Madden? And it's like, well, because they said Fortnite, not Madden.
Yeah.
They said Fortnite. They did not say Minecraft.
It needs to be the biggest games. I think Minecraft and Rocket League are the only other two games that I can think of that I look at and go massive. I could see an argument on some people's side about Grand Theft Auto 5 because it's so massive, but that gets to be weird too. But like you said, I think Sony has another tool and a feature that they use to be in the game. Not everybody's thinking about it this way, but exactly like you said, it's another tool to convince somebody to buy them. So to that end, let's just say, if we're talking about a story, that there is an Xbox user who is just currently now not too happy with Xbox because of the fact that they've had a lack of exclusives, and he feels like he's missing out on PlayStation, but the only thing leaving him on Xbox was that if he went to PlayStation, he couldn't play with his friends. Now he has the incentive to go, I'm just going to sell my Xbox or keep it or whatever and switch to the PlayStation as my main console, and then I'll still be able to play with my friends if I have to get rid of the Xbox to cover the cost of the PS4.
In this particular game, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have that ability. If they go, well, I do love playing Fortnite with my buddies on Xbox, and if I go to PS4, I sacrifice that.
I do think
now that's gone.
Sony did word it wrong, in my opinion. PlayStation worded it wrong. I think that they should have drawn a fine line where if this is not a permanent solution, they should have said, now up until the end of this generation, you will be able to play this.
I will give you that.
That way they could cut it off at PS5, and now because now they set themselves up for even more hate and flame. When PS5 launches, want to know why, Destiny. Because think about it, Destiny 2, like if PS5 comes out next year, which we're gonna get into that here in a little bit, Destiny 2 is gonna get ported to PS5. There's no way it's not going.
You really think so?
It's in year 2. It still has another year and a half. There's no way it's going to go into next gen or next year without going into next gen at least.
I just feel like they would just end up saving it and letting Destiny 3 be it. But I don't know.
The biggest expansion, or like, okay, I'll say that. The going off of the history of Destiny 1, the biggest expansion is yet to come out. That doesn't come out until next year. So I think that's going to be where, like, depending on, when the console release, I think that's going to happen. But anyways,
that's a really interesting point. I mean, I get where you're going for that. And I think that they probably should have done that anyway, just like you said. Even if they plan to use it going to PS5, all that verbiage does is give you the out in case you decide to use it.
Yeah, because I think about it, like Taken King came out in the year 3 in September. Well, if this, year 3 massive expansion comes out September next year, and the PS5 comes out in November, just 2 months later, is all of Destiny 2 going to basically, like, how's that going to work, So Destiny 2 may be a launch game.
Well, maybe.
I was talking about something like that on the subreddit about how, like, that actually makes sense.
So tying that into crossplay, though, I mean, what exactly are you getting at with that, though? How would Destiny 2 being on the PS5 be a problem with crossplay?
I forgot how we even brought up that at all. That's one of those tangents I was talking to you about.
Okay, anyway,
we brought
that's my point. You brought it up as Destiny, and it's funny that you bring up Destiny in terms of crossplay. It's funny that you did that because I brought it up in terms of crossplay as a perfect example of a game that would not benefit from it because of the fact that PlayStation has too many exclusives. So then what you either do is you alienate the people on PlayStation who like the exclusives, who were able to use it when they were playing only in PlayStation lobbies. Now you either have to make a separate lobby that completely bans those guns from the lobby so that nobody can use them, or you let it run free and then you have I don't know that it would necessarily be so, but you'd have the potential unfair advantage of people on PlayStation using guns that the Xbox people just can't use. It doesn't, because I know like the meta is obviously the multiplayer, one of the multiplayer keystones of like, okay, most people are going to use the meta or Wings of Vengeance or whatever the hell they're called. I don't know all the guns.
What is the meta?
Meta multi-tool.
Mida multi-tool.
Okay, whatever. I got the wording to be fair from Donovan. I'm pretty sure he says Meta.
I'm pretty sure he's wrong.
To be fair, I don't care.
Just Panera Bread, get me a Meta.
Yeah. So anyway, my point being, so the Mida multi-tool, whatever you want to call it, there's guns that are obviously multi-platform. Like they're on both versions of the games that dominate multiplayer anyway. So it may not be a huge thing, but it is just one more thing. Or like what about the Destiny exclusive raids on PlayStation?
No, yeah. Even PlayStation fans think that's bullshit.
Yeah,
that should not be a thing. Exclusive content should not be a thing.
I mean, I agree that from an outward standpoint.
Who are you convincing to buy?
From a gamer, yeah. From a gamer standpoint, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, it makes a ton of sense. Yeah. Because if you just want that much more Destiny content, you're going to get it on PlayStation. Bam.
Who's going to buy like? Destiny is a multiplayer game. Chances are, if your friends are on Xbox and you're like, should I get an Xbox or PS4? The content of like, whatever it is a year early is not going to convince you to get it on PS4 instead. You're going to go where your friends are.
Well, it might, because you think about this. What if you aren't playing with friends yet? What if you're just going into Destiny by yourself? And you have to make that decision. Well, you go, I get more to play if I'm going to PS4, right? What if your friends, definitely when Destiny 1 and 2 came out, what if your friends haven't upgraded to the next gen systems yet? And you are one of the first people to take a dive and you go, guys, wait. When you come forward, you're going to want to stick with PlayStation because you get more content, and we're getting it early. And like, the Xbox gets it eventually, but way down the line.
Yeah, but you get a strike on a weapon.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting massive amounts of stuff.
But
it's not something that I don't think
the reason I say that
soul alone, like that's not something a lot of people think about.
But it's just one more thing. It's just like Call of Duty. When your life is Call of Duty and you know that you're going to get more maps to play a month early on PlayStation 4, you're going to go, well, yeah, that's important to me. I'm going to play on PlayStation 4. I'll get more maps, because you think multiplayer games all have a problem of a lack of content. That tends to be the thing. The way that they fix that is by constantly giving new updates and packs that you can buy to fix that content drought. So Destiny being a game that both releases are known for having a problem of content at launch, if you get one more strike at launch that's only on PlayStation, that's one more thing that you can use in rotation and not wear you out.
Yeah, hopefully it's better than the strike they launched at on the new one, because the new Lake of Shadows sucks.
Yeah.
But,
so anyway, I knew this was going to be a weird conversation. We'll move on.
Taking up probably half of our show.
Yes. We will move on. So going on, we are in news now. Still.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep this going. All right, we're gonna roll through the rest of these. Amidst controversy from, and I'm sorry I didn't bring this up last week. These past few weeks for me have been crazy. There's a couple things I didn't bring up that I should have brought up. But amidst controversy from its sudden closure just a couple weeks ago, Telltale have now pulled The Walking Dead, the final season, from places of sale after going back and forth on the potential of the season being finished out. This looks to currently be a temporary pause on the sale to keep people from unwittingly buying a game or an episode that they're not going to be able to finish. That actually makes sense to me. Buying time until a decision is made on whether or not they're going to move forward. I think that the more you look into it, it seems unlikely that they're going to move forward because the company got to be part of a lawsuit by former employees where they violated California and federal law in different ways by not giving adequate warning ahead of its closure.
Which, yeah, that's a pretty
so money's going to be a problem.
bad thing to do.
Now, here's where I think this may have been going when they said that there's potential partners who are willing to come in and help them finish this. Who stands the most potential to gain from this? When you look into the story of Telltale, AMC, who owns the Walking Dead TV show rights and game rights for that show, the Telltale rights that they have for Walking Dead stem from the comic book, but AMC has the right to do Walking Dead games for its version of it, right? So AMC were in talks with Telltale already and ended up backing out when another company backed out because I think that they saw that things were going sour. But AMC are trying to break into gaming right now.
No.
Now, here's why I say that this is, I'm not saying it's a good idea for them. I don't know. But this is what I think they might be using as a way to kind of
I'll
get
tell
themselves in. I think that AMC might be the people because the fact that it is Walking Dead, if AMC are going to be the ones who come in and finance the Walking Dead finishing off, the Walking Dead's related to them. If they make another Walking Dead game, it just helps them break into the gaming market and already look like a savior.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be garbage like the show has turned into. The show
Who
used to be
knows?
so good and it lasted so long.
But my point being is that I feel like that's the only route.
I don't trust them. Nope.
Who in the hell else is going to be trying to come to Telltale and being like, we want to pay to finish it off? That's the only thing that makes real logical sense to me. I can't imagine anybody else doing that.
So something tells me that it's going to end up being like 4 more seasons long if AMC takes it over, and then they're going to kill off all the main characters, and then now it's going to be the sub
they
characters.
said it just to finish this one. I know where you're going, but
Dude,
they released episode 2, so there's 3 more episodes to release. If AMC came in and helped finish this off, it would be
somebody else, like another studio, actually volunteered for that, and I can't remember who it was. Like they straight up
maybe
on Twitter,
maybe I missed that. That's
on
weird.
Twitter they volunteered for it.
I don't know then. That's out there. But next up, Hitman 2 has gone gold ahead of its November 13 release. This is IO Interactive's first official release since their departure from Square Enix, with the Hitman franchise going along with them. Warner Brothers will be publishing this release, in case you didn't know. And the thing that's interesting about it is, if you didn't know yet, it's moving away from its episodic nature of the predecessor and going towards a complete release, which I think is smart, personally. Though they did have something going with the first game with post-launch content. Now, they can still do the post-launch content with a full release up front and still do, those, what were they called? Like the celebrity hits that you could do where, like, you got to fight, you got to take down Gary Busey.
That's hilarious.
Right?
I have no idea, though.
Great campaign in terms of post-launch content that's fun in a game where it makes sense, right? You're getting to kill a celebrity, right? It's just a fun way to you get to do all your wildest dreams. You find out that somebody, would stalk Gary Busey and then went and played the game and killed him, and then it left their system. They were happy finally. Who knows? PlayStation have announced a sleek new white version of its redesigned gold headset that is now available for pre-order at participating retailers. So if you're looking into that, it does look nice. I tend to steer away from white anything when it comes to technology that you're going to put your hands on because it's going to get dirty. It's going to get dingy, sadly. Shovel Knight is making its way to the frantic action of Brawlhalla, the free-to-play Smash-like game, alongside his crew in King Knight, Black Knight, Plague Knight, and Spectre Knight. These are going to be more than just skins. They will have individual animations and sets, move sets, so that's cool. I really like that setup. And Rayman's also going to be joining him from Ubisoft, and Rayman comes on November
6th.
6th, thank you. But currently, there's no release date for the Shovel Knight stuff, but they said they will update as that goes forward. I think that's cool. I think that Brawlhalla is that perfect kind of game to bring in weird characters like this, and I think that Shovel Knight makes a lot of sense as a character, and so does Rayman, truly.
I feel like there's another fighting game that Shovel Knight got put into, or I may just be thinking of this that I saw way back when, maybe, when it was rumored.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm trying to think of another game that Shovel Knight would be put in, but he's made weird appearances.
Yeah, he's made a lot of weird appearances. So
I want to say that there was something with Nintendo that they ended up doing a exclusive with. I don't know what it was. I may be just thinking about the amiibo, and that's like
No.
blending my memory together.
No, now you said that. I do think there was a Switch game or something, but yeah,
I don't know. Capcom have announced that Devil May Cry 5 will run at 4K 60 frames per second on PS4 Pro, though a native resolution is pretty unlikely. Either way, it's cool to see them doing 60 frames per second. This is the type of game that needs it. Action games that are this fast-paced is what you want. And from what they've shown on gameplay so far, it's gonna hit that 60 frames.
No, well, hold on. Did they announce native 4K? I thought they announced they just said 4K.
No, they said 4K.
Okay.
So I was saying a native resolution of 4K seems highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They haven't announced what it's going to be, whether it's going to be temporal injection. I really doubt it. But me and World End were talking about the other day, which is something that I think, if I'm remembering right, Insomniac made, and it's in Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank, and I think another game used it to some extent. I think it was Infinite Warfare, which is cool. And past that, it could be checkerboard, I guess. If they're calling it a 4K, I guess it's going to be one of those. It's not just going to be 1440p that's being upscaled. But that's checkerboard. So we will see what it is. I'm curious to see how good the game ends up looking, because I'm sure it's going to look great. So far it looks great, but I think if you actually look at the gameplay design, I don't think the areas are that expansive. So they're able to cram a lot of detail and frame rate and resolution because they're being a little smaller.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, if they keep the same size as DMC, as much as people hated that, I think it'd be a fine game. They're big enough areas, and with action games like this, it's not a huge deal if they're not massive and sprawling, in my opinion. So I don't know, though. I didn't play. Was Devil May Cry 4 60 frames per second at launch on 360 and PS3?
Pretty sure it was.
Okay, I don't remember. I know a lot of people lamented DMC because it was 30 frames per second, but I didn't have a problem with it personally. I didn't play it at 60, though. It'd be one of those things where once you feel it, you're like, oh, yeah, this should have been 60 the whole time.
Yeah, Destiny 2 on PC.
So, anyway, in an interview with the PS Blog in Japan, Shuhei Yoshida spoke on PSVR and how the company is doubling down on it, which is nice to see after some people were worried that they would be winding down on it. He notes that users want games that can play for a longer time, which sounds to me like multiplayer-based experiences or large-scope RPGs or maybe even a games-as-a-service setup. With these expectations in mind, Shuhei says, quote, I came up with the strategy of making full-scale games of larger scale in the second and third years. Titles with a deeper gaming, which is a weird translation thing, will continue to increase in the future, end quote. I think that makes sense. Releases like Firewall that I talked about, Firewall is the perfect game to keep people coming back to because A, it's fun, it's multiplayer based, and the maps move around. So multiplayer wise, you're already going to try and come back to it. But of course, the flip side of that is if they're very smart with what Firewall is and they use it as a setup, they can do very easily. They can do what Rainbow Six did and constantly update the game in a way that's ends up making it one of the go-to titles for it. Blood and Truth is the other one, and even Deracine is another example of these needs being serviced, and of course the wants. A couple more things. Drawn to Death, the hand-drawn style arena shooter from last year, will be closing its servers down in March 2019, showing again that Sony's being aggressive on not keeping these servers alive on games that they don't feel like are worth it. So RIP come March. It's not surprising the game didn't do well and the studio ended up closing down. So sucks for them, sucks for David Jaffe, who is the person behind this. It's a cool looking game. I just don't know that it had a big market, even for me. As much as I like the art style, I would have liked it in an actual game that I could play as a story and not necessarily an arena-based shooter. But that was the last of Sony's little experimental games as a service things they ended up doing, so probably not going to see that anymore. And lastly, the PS Plus games for October are halfway fitting. The main titles for PS4 are Friday the 13th, the game, with the other headliner being Laser League. Master Reboot is a PS3 one. The Bridge is coming for PS3, PS4, and Vita. Rocket Birds 2 Evolution for PS4 and Vita, and 2064 read-only memories for PS4 and Vita. So pretty much PS4 getting all the games except for Master Reboot. So if you have a PS4, you got a lot of games for it this month. Don't know if any of them are good. Didn't play Friday the 13th. I don't know anything about Laser League, but
crazy. We just got Dead by Daylight, which is a very similar game,
right?
And not a good one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting choice. I feel like both the games should have tried being more geared towards October, but man, what also a massive departure from what the rumors are saying of Neo and Diablo 3, which that sounded too good to be true.
So much better, yeah.
But
I would have loved to play more Diablo 3.
I wouldn't have been mad with owning Diablo 3. I'd been like, that's a good get for everybody else. You know? That's cool. In this case, hey, if you like Friday the 13th, that's cool. But now we will move on into reader mail since that section took a lot longer than we anticipated.
Sure thing. So since we answered 2 during the show, we normally answer 3, but we'll go ahead and answer 2 more. One will actually lead us into the main topic in a way, but for those that do not know, we put a reader mail tweet up, when I remember, on Wednesdays and Fridays on Twitter, and we encourage you guys to ask us questions, which we answer on the show. Anything that we answer past 3 will be put into a document we save for our reader mail episode that airs on the first Friday of every month, which means that here in a couple days you guys get a reader mail for the month of September.
Oh man, yeah, it's coming quick.
It is. Liam says, what games specifically would you or are you wanting to play with listeners? Despite our hiccups during Far Cry 5 multiplayer, I think that was the most fun I had with a game this year. That was really fun.
I couldn't remember if you did it with us or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did it a couple times. Not a lot. But
it was
Fallout,
goofy. It was goofy. Fallout 76 seems like a good fit.
Yeah, Fallout seems like a pretty fun fit.
Games that are more open, like we kind of talked about in the last episode, I think that depending on how Red Dead Online ends up playing, it looks like it supports 32 people online. I don't quite...
yeah, Red Dead's another one too.
Yeah, Red Dead seemed like it'd be a good fit depending on how semi this lets us get. It seemed like another game ripe for goofy fun.
Yeah.
I think that there's games that we both like that if we had more people to play, I think I'd be more pulled into it. I actually think if we had people playing Destiny 2 with us, I might be more inclined to go Destiny 2.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 that play with me, so 3. So 2 more people plus you, that's 6. That's a raid team.
There we go.
And you beat the Leviathan raid, right?
Yes.
You just never beat hard mode Leviathan.
Yeah, I never. It wasn't even out.
I would be surprised
when
if
I
that was
played.
not the last trophy you needed, because you did a lot. So like,
It's pretty much.
yeah. So I know that's what we need in Destiny 1.
The
so.
other 2, I know what they are, but they're easy to do.
Prestige Nightfall.
Well, that's the one that the hard mode of the prestige. I'm sorry, of the whatever hard difficulty prestige nightfall, whatever it is. That's the same trophy. Remember?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but they made it to where you can't do the prestige nightfall anymore to get it. It has to be the hard mode raid.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So there's that one, and then of course I'm lacking the one. I think it's to get it's one of the 2 classes all the way up. Or maybe even both the classes. One I'm really close.
Yeah. So technically it's all 3. But
Yeah.
you did 1.
I know I did one.
Up.
I got very close on the second one if I didn't get it. And then the third one I didn't start at all.
Well, if you actually buy Forsaken to play with this, you actually get this thing that levels up 1 character fully.
Token.
So,
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't really know. I still don't know if I'm getting it.
I think it's worth it if you have the time or want the time to put into it. But yeah, it's fun. But,
yeah, Warframe would be another one for me particularly because I like
yeah.
Warframe. But for people who don't, hey, you know what? It is what it is.
It's just such a weird experience. Like whenever I play, like it's fun, but it's just like there's something so weird about that game that just makes me not like it. I don't know what it is. Like it's fun.
Maybe it's a gut feeling. You can't get over some things.
I know.
You just don't like some things. That's cool.
Weird. But to lead
Follow
us
your heart.
into the main topic, we have Josh. He says, do you guys think with the new announcement that PSX is not happening this year, that maybe Sony might get to the point where they're overconfident with their sales? Seems like the Xbox is knocking it out of the park in a lot of ways, and PlayStation is doing, well, nothing. So PlayStation is doing nothing. Somebody, I can't remember where it's at, but somebody commented on either our Twitter, I think it was our Discord, but they said that they're doing a whole lot of nothing in terms of like customer friendliness, but they're doing everything else. Where Xbox is doing a whole lot of good PR, but a whole lot of nothing else. That on Xbox's side is kind of unfair. I think that they're doing a fine job with the Games Pass and stuff they have. I think it's a fine, like back a year ago, somebody could have said like, is Xbox One worth buying? And I would have said no, like period. But
now you feel like there's a
with
real
backwards
argument.
compatibility and Games Pass, oh yeah, it's worth buying. Now, if you're saying versus a PS4, you know what my answer is going to be to that. But yeah, it's totally worth getting into if you want a machine like that. I don't think, though, that...
I get the idea, though. Go ahead. Sorry. But I get the idea of I get the idea of saying the Xbox thing. I think it's more about specifically on the game side of things.
Yeah,
specific on
not
the service side of things.
Yeah. Now, that's actually kind of
Which
my
is
answer.
still good PR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Games Pass is a, from what we know, it looks like it's at least a workable, successful enough business model that they can lean on it pretty hard. Backwards compatibility is a weird business model, but it ends up working for them when they have Xbox One X enhanced backwards compatibility too, because they're making money off of those sales again. So there's a business model there. And of course, with crossplay and everything, and in their event that they're doing, the Xbox One event, it is funny to see that these things are going on. The PSX isn't happening, but instead Xbox has an event happening. It's very backwards from what things have been, but those are all realistically good PR moves. And that's part of why, in my mind, I do feel like PSX should have still happened. Steve Bitto, one of our long listeners in the Discord, said this, and I do agree with what he's saying, and I do think that this is true. I think that they are purposely installing lulls going into next year so that when it's time to talk PS5, they are all guns blazing.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what it is.
And I think it makes a ton of sense, and that realistically, this announcement just goes more to support that I do think next year is PS5 year.
I do too. Like I legitimately think that we are going to get an announcement at E3. There is going to elaborate on a PSX or maybe something similar a little or later than E3, if not completely announced at E3.
Okay, I think we're even talking a little bit different there. I think this is going back to what I was talking about of this very closely, potentially, very closely following the PS4, where we hear about the PS5 in like February.
No,
but we don't see it. Just like we did with the PS4, where it was a February event where they talked about it. They talked about specs. It'll be
March. They're not going to do that. The most pop like with two.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah,
they would move it only because of how weird February got. That's a good point. But basically, what I mean is you'll see it in the first quarter with the release in the last quarter.
Yeah, I can see that.
I believe that that's very possible. We keep getting things that I look at and I'm like, this seems too much to lead towards this not being true. For the fact that all of the games that we've seen, like we know that The Last of Us is going to be a 2019 thing. Sony Music even just put something out that showed 2019. Kojima originally said 2019 for Death Stranding, and then they've recently talked about the fact that the game is the development's going exactly as they planned, and that the release date that they had in mind has not changed themselves. So internally, even though we don't know it, nothing's changed on their end from their original projection.
Right.
So even though we don't have a date, Ghost of Tsushima, right? That was one of them that we don't quite know about. Dreams, which seems like it's going to be a really hit or miss title, and then Days Gone. Days Gone and Dreams we know of.
I thought Dreams was like December this year for some reason.
Nope. There's going to be a beta that's probably going to end up being in December this year, but that's about it.
So crazy.
Yeah, but the game looks so fun, and we had Dan, one of the listeners, talk about it. But that's a tangent for a whole different thing. He said the game's fun, but it's one of those games that when you just look at it, you don't quite see you don't see the value.
Oh, no,
you have to play it.
You have to experience it.
And that's gonna be I really hope that there's a demo for that game because of that.
Yeah.
Because the beta is a very short period, and for the people that do that, it may sell them. But how do you get long term?
Yeah, you have to have something that lasts a little bit.
Give people a demo. But yeah, when you're talking about PSX and what it's doing, I mean, it obviously makes sense to drop down PSX from an announcement standpoint and do like they did last year, where they set expectations well. I think what I would have said is I would have come out and said, look, guys, we're going to do exactly like we did last year. There's going to be literally no new announcements because that's just what it is. We're going to just have not even do a panel like they did last year. Just like we're just going to have an event where you come. There's a bunch of panels that happen throughout the day while the show floor is going that you can come visit if you want to. That's just developers talking about stuff that you might find interesting. And then otherwise, go to the show floor. Play Kingdom Hearts if you've been wanting to play Kingdom Hearts, but you haven't had an event that you could go to. Go see Days Gone and play Days Gone ahead of time.
It does suck that you can't. There's another aspect that we talked about is that, the meetup with people.
Yeah, the congregation of it. That's what I'm saying. When you can let the gamers congregate, there's goodwill in that alone.
Yeah.
And I think that it would have shown it's like, well, look, because PSX is very much a mixture between this obvious place where they get to control the media in terms of announcements when no one else is doing anything besides Game Awards. But Game Awards happens, it kind of goes down, and then bam, it's all them.
Dude, I just had a perfect idea.
Okay. But let me finish this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, because this is going to be fun.
But the reason I say that they should have done this is that I get that's the business side of it, right? They get to hold the media down, and there's a lot there, but it's good PR for them as well. It's an event solely focused around PlayStation for PlayStation fans,
and it helps out the indie
congregate
devs.
Each other. They make money for it, and it helps out indie devs.
Yeah,
you get to experience and play indie devs before they come out.
It's very rare that you could go up to a table as a normal person and play a game. Like Owlboy was there last year, and I've heard people that got to go up and play Owlboy,
and it sold them
before, before anybody else. Despite being a
and it helps them.
I'm not gonna say mediocre, but I'm not. Never mind.
Okay, but your point stands in the fact that so if somebody of course PAX happens. These events do happen throughout the year, but when you have an event that's just focused towards one group of people, they wouldn't lose money on it necessarily. People pay to go. You pay to get in. You pay for your ticket.
We also don't know how much it costs to rent the convention center out.
Well, sure, but I mean again, there may actually be some real downside to not having announcements to where it would affect the amount of people who wanted to attend. But I do think that you'd have a very large group of people who still wanted to attend. And if you're not paying for people to come out for announcements, you're saving money there. And then otherwise, it's just third-party people who are coming on their own accord, but you're not paying. Like Fortnite was there last year doing a big tournament because it was big for Fortnite. It helped Fortnite, right? It helps establish its dominance in gaming. You get to go there. You expect to see it at events like that. There were trivia games where it was just going on. It was fun. It didn't matter. I would tell you the worst part of PSX last year was the announcements. If you would have just told me this year that there wasn't going to be that at all, like there was not, because they said, well, it wasn't going to be a real keynote, but we'll have a couple of updates.
The announcements were all pretty bland.
Yeah, give me nothing. I don't care. But Medieval was cool.
Yeah,
that
I was going to say Medieval, and then there was another thing.
VR for that's where they announced VR for Wipeout, and that was actually cool.
Oh,
they might have announced something else, but I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it just might be that I've forgotten.
But see, that's what I mean. Is that it was the worst part of the whole experience. It was uncomfortable. There wasn't even anything exciting enough to just really pull you. The part that was fun, I guess, was the Detroit. Whenever they were doing the playthrough on that, because of the congregation again, we're all yelling stupid stuff. Save the fish.
Well, now that I think about it too, if there is no keynote or conferences of any kind to attend to, wouldn't that mean lines for demos would be a lot longer?
No, because the keynote happens the day before when the show floor isn't even open.
Gotcha. So it'll be the exact same.
Yep.
So yeah, they should.
That's why I think that they should have just sacrificed Friday. Everybody can come in Friday, or maybe even extend the show floor. Have it to where Friday's a day open for show floor.
Yeah.
That way, people who only want it, you have show floor Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Or you could do like Friday exclusive passes, like where only you get to go in. You know, these passes are $30 more, but then you get to go in on Fridays.
Yeah, and that means that you have less competition and stuff like that.
Your wait times are lower.
That's
get
what I mean. I just
times
think
with devs.
I think that there's reason enough to go ahead and say justify it. I get like one of my initial wordings is like, well, they have plenty to show because you have like Resident Evil 2 and stuff like that. But I don't mean show on a show. I don't mean show on a stage with announcements. I mean show on the show floor. I want to be able to go walk around and play Resident Evil 2 early if I want to. One of the best things I did last year was play Detroit early. And it really made me be like, I already knew I wanted it. I definitely want it now. And that game didn't disappoint. It was cool. I was glad that I got to go in there and do that. Walking through the God of War thing was cool. Going through the Days Gone section was cool. It's fun. It's different. It's like a vacation for gamers where they're getting to do something that justifies you taking days off to go do, and it feels worth it. And I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, of the group of people I know who are most bummed about the fact that it's gone, is that we were all saving vacation days for this because this is our vacation.
See, now I said it like 2 episodes ago, but I said it's a kind of a real dick move from Sony to kind of not let people know about this or to kind of announce it now, because there are people
who
like
have they've known too.
Yeah, they've definitely known. I mean, think about it, dude. They got to reserve the conference, the conference center. That's 2 months from now.
Yeah,
not even 2 months. It's a little bit less than that from now.
Well, no, it's a little.
Well,
more.
yeah, it's a little bit.
It'd be
more,
a little bit more, like 2 months in a week.
Yeah. But they have to reserve the conference center. They have to set up the vendors. They have to call in every dev that they're going to get there and be there. This they've known.
Yeah,
for sure. And there are people like me and you who had to buy tickets on a plane, who needed to save up vacation time, who maybe had to work an extra weekend to get a weekend off.
Sure.
There are things that they should have let us know. What I was thinking though, get this. Ryan comes down. John comes down. Anybody who else wants to come down and hang out with us, we go rent a van. And then we take the van and we drive it to like Dallas or Austin or somewhere fun. And it's like a big old like road trip. That would be fun. Instead of like all flying to somewhere meet up, imagine like us renting out like one of those, I forgot what they're called, but like it's like the cool like big vans that are like fun to be in, like shuttle vans.
Yeah.
Like imagine us renting it out. First of all, I don't think it's that expensive. Gas wouldn't be a problem if we split it evenly among every passenger. We could literally drive to, I mean, there's so much around here we can go to. We can go to Little Rock. We can go to Fayetteville. We can go to Dallas. We can go to Austin. We can go to...
road trip?
So like a road trip. But we all meet up somewhere that would be a fine place to meet up. Maybe in the middle for everybody, or even... I know Ryan lives close to us. I don't know about John. I'm not going to say it on air where he lives.
Yeah, Ryan would not be a problem. It'd be very unfair of John.
If I remember where he lives currently, yeah.
It'd be very unfair.
But yeah, so...
I like your enthusiasm.
But it would be fun. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that goes to show, like we said, we're bummed because there's a vacation to us, but it was also based around stuff that is gaming related. We could have still went to PSX and had a blast, and then told y'all about stuff that we saw and found.
Or John flies into Dallas, and then we take a road trip to go get John, and then take another road trip somewhere else. So it's like 2 road trips, and then we got to take a road trip back to Dallas to drop John off, and then another road trip back to here to drop Ryan and us off.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that with them. If you had a VR and Firewall, you could just play with us and talk about it today. But
I could still jump into a party.
You could.
It's like parties don't work like that. But I'm going to go home and eat and go to sleep here. Like
I know
you
will.
Hour and a half.
I know you will. But anyway, I mean, I get where Josh is going with this, and he's saying that PlayStation's doing nothing, but they're not. PlayStation's been busy, and I get your standpoint. It's just they're doing something in different arenas, like Saul said. Xbox knows they don't have the games, and they really do. I mean, we know that they know that because they address it themselves at E3. So when they know they don't have the games, they're going on the PR front to just do as much cool stuff as they can to get goodwill behind them. While PlayStation has had a lot of games this year, and a lot of them have been very, very highly rated and sold. So instead, for them, they don't need to worry about that.
They can be more reserved.
Yeah, they can do this, and they can say, now don't get me wrong, being clear about this way earlier in June when they kind of probably knew that it wasn't going to go down or that they were having doubts they wanted to do it, they should have just been like, for now, don't plan on PSX. If that changes, we'll update you. They could have done that. Yeah. And then at the last minute, they decided, you know what? It is worth it to have a PSX. Let's go ahead and push forward. Then you can go, okay. But otherwise, you can just kind of tell people, like, don't get too many ducks in a row thinking that you're going to have a PSX to go to in December. We'll update you if that changes, but
I am curious about the name changing meme that's been going around. What is the result of this? When are we going to hear more about that? I wonder.
Well, who knows? Because it could still happen without PSX being a thing.
Of course,
because his wording
pop up on Twitter.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the wording was last year in an interview on stage with Sean, where he said he's hoping things happen this year, to where by this time. By PSX next year, you won't have to ask me that question, which sounds like by December of this year, name changes will be implemented. We're still talking about the mystery feature of 6.0 that we don't quite understand. Is it tied to that somehow?
I think it's tied to the PlayStation Now downloads.
I don't know. I truly don't.
We really don't. That's what I think. Your controller looks more like a Nerf gun than a Goku.
Why are you so worried about my controller?
It's just so vivid. Sorry, guys. I'm pointing out one. He has the orange and blue controller.
Well, look. Is there anything else you think about PSX?
No. Yeah. No more Sean Layton big head memes.
Ah, darn. Yeah, that was fun.
For those that don't know, there's a point in which Sean is on stage and his shirt matches the background perfectly, but his coat looked so small in comparison, and his head looked humongous. And it was.
You should share that picture if you still have it that you took.
I have it on the. I literally. Put it
on Twitter.
I may have very well
tag him.
I made a Polaroid out of it
and go. I see that you're avoiding this again, Mr. Layden.
Yeah,
just do it.
I have a Polaroid printout of that picture.
Anyway, I think that's interesting. And so I want to say in response to that is Mr. Josh's brother Liam says, I wouldn't say nothing. They've got a lot of stuff lined up and have showcased realistically. Would you want more trailers and some of the old stuff? This could be a way to prevent oversaturation of their games and not spending more for conferences. I get all of that when it comes to the showing. There's a lot of dynamics. Where are the money they're going to pull here? Are they going to put it in an event that's going to happen February? Okay. Because if they're going to make an event in February, they're going to have to pay for that.
Of course, yeah.
Unless they use the PlayStation Theater, which they own in New York, which there's still cost involved there. But
they could have taken,
that's what they did at
ticket revenue from PSX. And
yeah. Again, that's what I'm saying. I don't think I don't think it's cut and dry like that.
It's not.
PlayStation's obviously not doing nothing, but what they're doing is different than necessarily what the fans may have wanted. But Josh, you say that they're not doing anything, and I know that this is more of a hyperbole and that maybe you mean a more targeted use of that. But while it's easy to look at PlayStation in this particular instance and say they're doing nothing, well, guess what they just did? They just made crossplay compatible. So while fans of PlayStation...
he's just over-exaggerating.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So it's like while fans who wanted to go to PSX are going to be bummed, think about the fans who did want to crossplay. They're just doing things that are aiming towards different sections than what they typically do with PSX, and that's a bummer, and it really does suck. I love PSX. My biggest hope with this announcement is that PSX is not going away, and then we instead see it next year when there's a lot to talk about because of a PS5 announcement and all these games, and there's way more to show off. And who knows? That's just one of those things. Time is going to be the biggest thing to show us. I think if we're right on the beginning of the beginning of next year, so somewhere in that first quarter, maybe March, that we hear about a PS5, my attitude on where PSX may lie is going to change a lot. Now, depending on how that goes, if PS5 doesn't come out next year and then we miss this PSX and then we miss next one, I'm going to be a little more like, this is weird.
Yeah, this is certainly unusual.
But I think it makes sense, like Steve said in the Discord, this is installing a lull.
Because we've seen too much of everything that's there. Like, I'm sick of seeing Days Gone. Resident Evil 2, I kind of want to keep more of a surprise.
Ghost of Tsushima is the only thing we haven't seen a ton of.
Ghost, I want to keep more of a surprise as well.
Sure, I'm with you on that, but that's the only thing we haven't seen a ton of.
Yeah, Days Gone, I'm sick of. Death Stranding, I want maybe one more thing, and I will be sick of after that.
I want nothing, to be fair, but I will say that most recent thing where they showed off, my God, Troy Baker's character.
Dude,
woo!
His character looked cool.
Woo!
That enemy he summoned looked cool. I'm excited. But
oh man,
why don't you guys in the comments, Discord, and Twitter let us know what you guys think about PSX? Are you happy that it's canceled? Are you sad? what do you think they canceled it for? And most importantly, where are you going to go and meet us there? But now you can't, and we're all sad. But let us know about that.
And if you want to be part of this magical van trip that Saul wants to plan, let us know. Maybe if this becomes feasible, we'll do something
Dude,
stupid.
I'm telling you, we can literally, like, there's...
But that's banking on, like, Josh and Liam and Blake all just being like, bye, guys.
Well, first of all, hold on. Yeah, first of all, we got to make sure we get a van that fits everybody in one. You don't want to take two vans.
We need a head count.
Whack. But we need a head count. Everybody pays, however many people we got divided by that number of people that they, that much gas. So yeah, we could go, driving a van to Dallas at 4 a.m. getting like IHOP on the way there. Come on now. That don't sound fun.
All right. It does, Saul, but I'm just saying it seems unrealistic as well.
Cause like y'all want to go to Vegas. We're going to do it Vegas.
You know exactly what we're going to do in Vegas. I'm not going to say it now. I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding.
Anyway, look, if you have your own thoughts on PSX, let us know in the comments or any of our places where you can find us, like you said, Discord, Triangle Squared, at Triangle Squared, or at Triangle SQRD on Twitter. If you want to find us in the Facebook group, let us know your thoughts. Do in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. And again, remember, if you like what we're doing here, just subscribe. It lets you know what we're doing every week, and we appreciate it, of course. But until next week, I think this has been enough, and this has been Triangle Squared. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.